Hello, I'm Derek Smalls, and you're watching, or listening, or both, to Rock Shop Live with Eric Broadbent. He's the Bent Broad.
You're watching Rock Shop Live, brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones. Now, for Music Gear Network, here's your host, guitarist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Wednesday to you all. Welcome to Rock Shop. We are live. This is not our regular night, of course. We're just trying to find a spot in the week where we're not stepping on anybody's toes and doing some fun kind of comparison videos or some sound samples this evening. We're going to be doing a little bit of a comparison between Line 6 Helix and PodGo, both, of course, from Line 6. And this question gets brought up on my channel a lot in comments and sometimes just in conversations on social media and things of that nature as well, too. But people will ask me, okay, so there's a major price difference between, Helix and PodGo. I mean, you could buy 3 or 4 PodGos for the price of a Helix. How can it sound as good, or does it sound as good? And the answer to all of the above is yes, it sounds just as good. Just this last Sunday over on the Helix Hour, I had a really cool guest, Terrence Young, guitar player extraordinaire, plays in multiple bands covering all genres of music. And I asked him the question, which I've proposed the question to several other guests as well on the Helix Hour, asking, okay, I'm going to, without my bias, does PodGo sound as good as Helix? And his answer was yes. And that consensus is common amongst people who have played or own both. So I'm doing something a little bit different tonight as well, too. If you see me looking off to the other side of the screen here, I'm using my chat over on a PC. I'm trying to keep my Mac running as lean as possible. Last week, when was it? I guess it was that Sunday show with Terrence. I had fantastic internet speed here at home. Everything was good. And okay, just got to bring my volume up a bit. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to bring my volume up. Bear with me here just for a second there. Nocturnal, Sandra Lee. Okay, so I've brought my volume up a bit more. Hopefully that's good. She couldn't hear me very well, so let me see if that's better now. 1 second. Better say better now. Always a struggle with the levels. Testing 1, 2. How's that? Okay, so see if that sounds better. Hopefully that is. Hope so. We're waiting for the verdict from the producer. She's typing. So as she's typing here, I'll come back to her in just a moment. So yeah, good. Okay, we're good. Rock and roll. We're getting some good levels on the screen. So I'm trying to keep the machine running as lean as possible. So I'm running chat, everything over here. And I do have a couple windows open on the Mac here as well, too. We're going to be looking at HX Edit for our Helix preset. And then we're going to be looking at PodGo Edit for, of course, PodGo. I've created a preset for, actually, this has been out for a while now, on PodGo. It's called the Helix Hour JCM 800, which is a free preset. And it's funny, I'm playing this one a lot more than some of my other presets. It's a free preset up in Custom Tone. I'll share that link later on with you. Or if you just go to Custom Tone on Line 6 website, line6.com/custom tone, and you go to, downloads, of course, you choose PodGo. Just look for me. My name on there is Floyd Rose _5150. You'll see a half a dozen or more presets of mine, and you'll see the JCM 800 for PodGo. So I had to create that one again for Helix because you can't import presets from Helix to PodGo to Helix. So what I'll be showing you in a little bit here is I'll be showing my screens of both the companion editing suites for both devices. And I had to literally, I know which amp I use, I know which cabinet I use, I know which delay, reverb, and things like that. But I had to go in and compare, volume levels, mid-range, delay levels, delay times, mix, all that stuff. It didn't take too long. But I was able to duplicate the preset on Helix 100%, saved it. It's a 3-snapshot preset for PodGo, obviously a 3-snapshot preset for Helix. I'm going to save the Helix one at the end of this evening as well, too, and I'll export that to Custom Tone, and you guys can have that one for free as well, just so it's kind of the companion to PodGo. But I want to show you how exactly good, how they sound similar between each other. So let's go over and just say hi to everybody. And again, I'm looking off to the right here, so please don't think I'm looking away from you. Of course, our beautiful party line is here. Sandra Lee, Ed B is here. Never too late. Larry's here. Nice to see you. Don Shepard is here. How you doing, Don? Bobby Clipper is here. Dale Palmer, the birthday boy of last week, the other day. And Stefan Odette is here, and Carlo Santin is here. I know we'll get some more people jumping in a little bit. So we're going to start off here in a bit. We're going to start off with the preset on Helix. So let's jump over and have a look at HX Edit on the screen here. One second. Let's jump over to HX Edit. Here we go. Okay, so we're over here in HX Edit, and I'm using. This is really cool. I haven't really used for a long time. I didn't really explore the JCM 800 amplifier. And I mean, who doesn't like a JCM 800? I mean, if you don't, that's cool. But if you do, you know what it's all about, right? That amplifier is one of the tried and true amplifiers. You look at backline requests for touring bands all over the world, and you'll see a JCM 800 on there or a JCM 900, but usually a JCM 800. And I've been embracing that amplifier a lot lately. I'm not saying it's my favorite amplifier by any means, but I'm loving it. So it's definitely one that's going to be used a lot. A couple other people jumping in here as well too. Six Stream Brian, hey buddy, how you doing? Sven Ols is here, and the Axe Forever, if I've got that, if I can see from here. So we're using, this is as simple can be, looking from left to right. We're looking at a wah pedal, an overdrive pedal, the JCM 800, my patented, when I use that term patented, I don't mean patented like I own the patent by any means. What I mean, my signature, my favorite thing I do always is I put a kinky boost right after the amplifier. So that's there as well too. Surprisingly, when I created the preset on the PodGo, my go-to amplifier is a 412 25. And I don't know why I put the 30 in here. I have no idea why I did, because I like the 25 much better. The speakers break up a little bit more, but for some reason I put in the 30. So I couldn't, have this one different than PodGo. So I put in the 30, and I still like it. I like it a lot, but just the 25s are my go-to thing. I've got a 10-band EQ, which is only used on the lead channel, and you notice that looks like a spear in the middle. That's because I dime my mids. That's a technique that a lot of people do, including Eddie Van Halen. Even on a traditional amplifier, if you dime your mids, it just cuts right through. We've got a traditional delay and, of course, a plate reverb. So pretty darn simple. I'll jump over just for a second, kind of give you the comparison over on PodGo. You're going to see a little bit of a difference in the structure, but it's going to be exactly the same. Okay, let me see if I'm missing any questions here at all. Guitar Man 45 is here as well, too. Oh, nice. And Stefan says, I have JCM 800. He had a JCM 800 lead series in 1990. Very, very nice. I never did own an 800. I did own a 900 high gain dual reverb, 100 watt with two 412s, and that was quite a rig. Okay, let's jump over to PodGo for a second. PodGo Edit. Okay, so now we're over here on PodGo Edit, and same idea. We got the Marshall JCM 800. So you're going to see a couple other things a little bit different here, because with PodGo, for those of you that aren't familiar with PodGo, I might as well give you a little bit of a crash course on it right now. This could be taken positive or negative, however you want to look at it. I don't look at it as a negative. There are some things that are provided, like no matter what the preset is, actually every single preset, even a blank preset, is going to come with a couple different things. Going from left to right, we have an expression pedal, which is your volume pedal, or you could use it for something else if you wanted to. Also comes with a wah. You can't delete it. You can't change an expression pedal for like a distortion, or you can't change a wah for reverb, whatever. You can only change it for an expression pedal effect, wah and volume. So those are the same in every single preset. You're also going to be given an amplifier. You're also going to be given a speaker block, which could be changed for an IR. And you are also given an EQ. Those ones you cannot change, you cannot take off. So take those out of the equation. So what I've added here is I've added an overdrive. I've added the kinky boost like I always do. We got two effects here now. I've added a delay, and I've added the reverb. So I've added four more. I've added four of my own effects. Okay. And then I've got the foot switch, which you can see. So I shouldn't say foot switch. The effects loop, which is just after the purple wah pedal. So if I wanted to use the effects loop, I could use some of my favorite pedals. If I still own pedals, I could put them in the loop, and I could move that. I'm going to see if I can drag it and show you. I could drag that wherever I want. See how I'm doing that? See how it's moving, right? So I can put the effects loop wherever I want, and then engage, outboard effects like a Strymon or whatever, right? So long story short, this is a good thing too about it. Even though that you can't take an EQ block out of, you can turn it off, but you can't take it out of the chain with PodGo, just as you can't with wah or with the volume block. What's really cool about it is that it will maybe, in the grand scheme of things, maybe force you to enjoy using an EQ. A lot of people haven't explored EQs. Some people don't know how to use an EQ. but look at it as maybe some salt and pepper and some spice for your tones. When you learn to use an EQ, it's nice to pull some things out that are kind of bothering you. And if you're missing a certain frequency, it's nice to put it in. And as I showed you, I go back to the EQ, you'll see how I've got it. It's exactly the same. The graph is a little bit larger than it is on HX Edit, but it's the same deal. It's speared in the middle. The same frequencies are speared the way I like to dime my mids. I probably could go even more extreme, but you'll hear in a little bit how it's like a honking. That's the right term I'm trying to say. A honking, kind of a mid-range nasal kind of thing, right? Okay, so we're going to go with that in a second, but we're going to start with Helix to give you the idea of Helix, because I mean, here's the thing. I could play PodGo first, and I mean, I'm telling you, these things sound exactly the same, but I could play PodGo first, and then I say, okay, now we're going to Helix, which is a much more expensive unit, and when I do that, automatically you're thinking, okay, it's more expensive, so it's got to be better. You're going to think that one's better. I could start with, go either way around, and we're already predetermined to judge. But I think I've got these presets. This isn't a formal, like, okay, at the end, this is the end, and what I say goes, and this is the end all be all. It's exactly the same. No, they're not exactly the same levels. I got them close, like almost darn exactly close between what's being put out on the units and what's on my mixer. So it's just going to it's a fun comparison. This is not a battle royale and last man standing is the winner. This is just a fun comparison to maybe in the grand scheme of things, if people want to get an avenue of, let's jump back over to the big screen for a second, just to go back over here. In the grand scheme of things, somebody wants to jump into the Helix arena and they don't have, the funds available to buy the full-blown Helix or even an HX Stomp, why not jump into a PodGo? I recommend it highly. And so what I'll be doing as well, too, when I'm playing tonight, I've using Helix, I have the Helix control. You see my rack back there. I've got a couple floor units over here as well, too. So I'm controlling the rack back there with my Helix control by my feet underneath the desk here. But PodGo, which you can see is right back there where I'm pointing, I don't have a way to control that. So when I go to switch to a lead channel, I'm going to be physically clicking on PodGo Edit and choosing my lead snapshot. So bear with me if I have to hold a note, reach over and switch a snapshot, but that's going to be my weakest link for tonight. So, all right, let me see if I'm missing anybody here. I don't think so. Stefan says, I'm buying my Marshall just before Judas Priest concert at Collège de Quebec. Very, very nice. Awesome. Okay. And I've got the PV Wolfgang back out tonight. I neglected this guitar for a while. This is my number one guitar. No matter what guitars I get in my life, this will always be my number one guitar. And I put it down for a bit. And, oh man, I busted a string. I busted a G string on it a while back. And then, so I repaired it. I think it was actually live one night on the air here. And I busted the G string. I don't even have a single set of strings in the house anymore at the moment. I haven't ordered any new strings. But these are the Theriault NYXLs. These things are almost indestructible. So you can put them back on and you're good to go. But when I did put it back on, I thought I had a weird fret buzz somewhere. And I guess what it was it was just sitting improperly in the saddle. So I didn't even bother touching it. I put it down. I was playing all my other guitars. Picked this one up last night and it spoke to me again. So it's going to get some attention tonight. And I'll also be playing my SR250 Shuriken. One of the two that I have, this one will be tuned down to E flat. So I'll be playing that one tonight. And it's not going to be a long jam tonight. It's hotter than blazes in here. So we're going to just have some fun. Landshark Marcus here. Nice to see you, buddy. All right. So I'd said we're starting with Helix. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So we're going to jump back over. You know what? There's no sense actually even really jumping over to the Helix screen. I'll just show you one more time so you know what we're looking at. For those of you, there's Scott Roos. There you go. And he says, yeah, that's a beauty fretboard, right? Isn't it? Look at this. It almost looks roasted, doesn't it? Look at, I mean, really? Can you see that? It looks like a roasted maple fingerboard. It's just blood, sweat, and tears, man. It's a beautiful piece of wood. That's what she said. Okay, so let's jump back over just for a quick second, just to have a look at HXZ just for a millisecond, and it'll give me a chance to get a sip too. Okay, so we'll go back to the amplifier just for a sec. That's the key thing here. We're using the JCM 800. Pretty simple, modest. We've got a distortion pedal in front. I think we're using the Timmy whatever in front. Yeah, we're the Timmy overdrive, so we're going to use that one. And here's a question. Have you tried tuning down with the pitch shifter? Master Joe DA. Yes, I have. I use it sometimes. Let's jump back again for a second. I use the pitch, not pitch detune, but actually pitch change, and it works pretty good. If you're doing some power chords, maybe some power fifths and things like that, it works pretty good. But what I like to do, with my Variax guitar, I could tune to anything I want. But I really like the feel of a string tuned to a certain tension. So when I'm in 440, you guys know this. If you're in 440, you're going to get a certain feel on the neck. You're doing a half a step. It makes a big difference. And I know a lot of people in the Line 6 community may think I'm crazy, using a Variax when I could use the technology to change the tuning so very easily. But I like the feel. So I'll have one Variax tuned to 440, one down a half step. I do use the Variax technology religiously when it comes to acoustic guitar, and if I want any kind of, maybe like a dobro or string Rickenbacker or something of that nature. So that's when I really explore the nature of the technology. Okay, so thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. So I'm going to queue up a song here, one of my songs here. We'll do a couple tonight. This song called Fall Silent. So I'm going to be using 2 snapshots, okay? That's the rhythm. So all right, she sounded pretty good. Okay, I'm going to mute my microphone. I'm going to put on the laptop here, and we're going to rock out a song called Fall Silent, and then I'm going to come back over and play the same song again, and what I'm doing, I should explain how I'm running this as well, too. So, running a 1/4-inch cable out, regular guitar cable, make sure I don't trip on anything. That's running to Helix rack. You can actually see the cable running right to the rack. And then I'm going to switch over to wireless here in a moment, and the wireless is running to PodGo. So everything's ready to go. I just got to mute one Helix over here, turn on PodGo, and make it as simple as possible without getting me up and jumping all over the place, knocking something over, and possibly breaking another Mac keyboard. All right, so here we go. Nice. Thank you, Ed B, for the preset compliment. It sounds pretty rich, at least in my headphones, and these headphones suck. They suck, and it sounds pretty rich in my phone. So hopefully it sounds good to you guys out there. And if you get a chance later on to watch it back through some headphones or a good speaker system, let me know your feedback on that. So here we go. We'll start off with Helix rack. Go to a bigger screen here as well, too.
This is all we can
go. So that is Helix using a very, very simple preset. So I'm going to mute Helix rack for a moment. Okay, Helix rack is muted. I'm going to pull out the guitar cable. Okay, make sure PodGo is muted, which it looks like it is. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. See some nice emojis in the chat, which is great. The only thing better than cool emojis in the chat is to know that everybody is good and healthy and safe. And that's better than anything. Okay, so now we're going to unmute Helix. Well, it's labeled as Helix Floor, HX Floor, because I'm using the cables from the floor back there to run into PodGo. You can probably, no, you can't even see the cables back there. It's hidden in the dark, but they're there. Okay. So I'm telling you, man, my ears are not lying. That you're hearing now, PodGo. Hey, there's Ladybug. Great show with Ladybug and Nocturnal Butterflies. Andrew Lee here today, and of course Mark Landshark. Mark, that was a fun show. Check those guys and girls out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. A fun show on the party line. Okay, so we're gonna play the same song again. I'm gonna mute the microphone. We're gonna change over to the big screen one more time. I could probably do this all in one flash. Watch this. I'm gonna try to be ambidextrous tonight. Here goes. Let's see if we can do it. And a reminder, if you're just jumping in now, this is PodGo. Same preset. Not that I've imported it. I had to recreate it. Well, actually, it was created on PodGo. I moved it over to Helix. I recreated on Helix. So this is what I originally created on PodGo. So same song you just heard, same sounds, different device, and much cheaper.
Go!
So I apologize for those horrible notes here just for a second. But as I mentioned earlier, some people are jumping in now, so they probably thought, man, dude, you suck. But what I had to do is I had to reach over and physically toggle my lead snapshot on PodGo Edit because I can't control my pod. It's way back there, and I have no way of controlling other than clicking on a snapshot here. So I'm telling you, what's the consensus for you guys? What are you thinking right now? Daniel McEwen is jumping in from Australia. Hello from Australia. Nice to have you here. Several friends over in Australia. And yeah, Don Shepard says that sounds great at a fraction of the price. Never too late. Larry is asking, how is the build quality of the PodGo? Do you think the plastic bottom could break? No. To be honest with you, I didn't even realize the bottom was plastic, or is it plastic? I don't even know. I can't go check it right now, but it's steel on the top, and if it is plastic on the bottom, no, it's molded. Very, very heavy. Got a carry handle on the bottom. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I could drop it. I think I could drop it on the sidewalk and would probably not cause any damage to it. Or drop it off of a stage. So same build quality on the top as your other HX unit. So I love it. And as Don was saying there, great for a fraction of the price, right? So we're going to try another guitar in a moment, just to kind of give you an idea. These are some pretty high gain pickups here in the Wolfgang. I'm going to jump over to a lower gain, so they say. Let me see. Let's want to mute that for a second. Okay, let's take out the wireless here for a sec. So we'll do the same thing again. We'll go back to Helix, and then we'll go back to PodGo. So we're going to use a lower gain pickup, and boy, oh boy, is it ever hot in here. Doug Chanel, pod sounds awesome. Great, good to hear. I'm glad to hear that you like it. Scott McLean is here as well, too. Got here just in time to hear the riff I enjoy so much. Awesome, Scott. That's great, right? I love it. Let me see here. And Ed says, I still prefer the Helix, but PodGo comes very close. And see, that's the thing, right? I also prefer Helix more. I mean, for several reasons. One, you've got the Variax input. Number two, you've got four, like especially on the floor and the rack unit, you've got 4 sends and returns. You've got a microphone input. You've got a lot of cool things like that, and much more block locations at your disposal. But I thought when I got the pod, I thought there's got to be something I'm not going to like about this. It can't sound good for its price. I mean, it can't sound as good as it does for its price, and there's nothing you can say. I mean, the only thing you can say negative about the unit, and how do you define negative as, if this isn't the biggest thing you're going to worry about in your given day, there's no problems. You have a few less blocks, obviously, at your disposal in PodGo, but PodGo was never meant to be a Helix. But it just goes to show you that it sounds exactly the same. And that's a question that all of us in the Line 6 community get asked all the time. But does it sound like a Helix? Yep, sounds like a Helix. And Scott's, and this is a good testimony from Scott, because Scott has good ears. He's a Helix user himself. He says, sounds great. No difference to my ears. It's just the routing options. Really agreed 100%. Exactly. All right. So let's grab another guitar here. I'll put this one down. Last night, I went through all my guitars again, and I haven't talked about this product for a little while. I haven't even used this product for a little while. It's weird. It's a lot of us. I'll speak for myself, so I don't generalize everyone as being like me when it comes to this. But sometimes we do something on a regular basis, and then we just kind of stop. And we like I said, the Wolfgang, I stopped playing it for a little while, and then I just picked it back up, and I just realized, how stupid was I to not be playing this guitar. Well, I've talked about Lizard Spit products before. I'm not endorsed by them. Actually, we got someone at the door. Is that you? What's that? Oh, what you got? It's caught on a cord. Oh yeah, don't put the fan on. Oh yeah, okay, all right. So Sandra Lee's here. She's going to plug in the fan. There's probably a spot on the floor here somewhere, wherever you can find it. She's bringing in an extra fan here. So where were we at here? We're talking guitars here for a second. Oh yeah, so Lizard Spit. So Lizard Spit, I use their guitar polish all the time. I love their polish, but I used their string lube stuff. I think it's called Fresh and Easy or something like that. And it looks like a bingo dabber. And you just kind of put it on the strings easy. It doesn't put tons or anything like that. And then you just buff it off. And I did all my guitars again, and it freshens up your strings. It just makes the guitar nice and slinky without being all greasy and stuff like that. Can you find an outlet? I'm not sure if I trust her in the studio, because she is like a bull in a china shop. I'm being careful. Her being careful. She can hit herself in the corner of a round room, and she does. Okay, so I'm going to get a guitar chord here. 1 second. We're ad-libbing. And don't even look over here, man. Ladybug says, "Say hi to your fans, Sandra." No, but they can hear you. Oh, you know what? Hit the power on that power bar too. I was wondering why those lights aren't on. Can you see this? You're gonna fall and hurt yourself. Well, I'm getting a nice visual at the moment. She's got her bottom completely up in the air. All right. Okay, so we're back in the chord. Let's go back to Helix. See, aren't I blessed? She comes down to plug in the fan because I'm literally dripping. Oh wow, I feel that already. That's great. Yep, we'll hear it a little bit because I got a lot of gain on my mic, but it's not loud. That's great. I'll take it. Thank you. Oh yeah, I feel it. So low gain pickup. We're using the SR250 Variax. We're not using any Variax technology. We're using the Helix preset. We're doing half step down and drop D. Thank you, baby. Okay, so we're gonna play another song here. Jump over to the big screen one more time. Song called Runaway. This one's got the nice harmonics. So let's see how the harmonics jump out of this one. All right, and we got Frank Rashad from Line 6 here in the house as well too, and he hit Daniel. I think he did it by accident. Let me see. I can maybe see if I can find him as well too. He hit Daniel by accident, and I know it was definitely by accident. It happens. We can probably fix that. Can I get Daniel back? Oh shoot, how can I get him back on here? if you see the 3 little dots beside him, you should be able to hit unhide. And Daniel, we didn't mean to do that. It's just a total accident. Frank, we're going to take away your wrench. It's okay. No, he's not blocked. He's not blocked. Daniel, you're not blocked, and I apologize. We'll try to get you back in. Let me just see here. That's Dave. Hey, Dave Briscoe, how's it going, buddy? Nice to have you here. And Daniel, we're working on getting you back here. So Frank, yeah, I know there's a delay, but if you try to hover by, if you can see Daniel's name there anywhere, there's 3 little dots, and see if you can unhide if that's possible. Okay, and so he had a question, I believe. So Sandra's relaying the question to me. Has a question. I've been watching you for 6 months. It's just before I bought a Helix. You helped my decision. I'm watching this, trying to convince my rhythm guitarist to get I think she's saying a PodGo. Good, I'd go. I can't understand that. Sandra, a lot of times she sends me text messages with voice to text, so I'm not sure what she means there. Sandra, if you can turn that into English, that would be great for me, and then I'll try to answer that question. But Daniel, we'll try to get you back. Okay, good. I think we've got him back. Awesome. Especially on mobile devices, it's very easy to do that. So apologies, and no problem, Frank. I know that happens. So what Frank's just jumping in right now as well too. RG Pops is here. Dave Briscoe, one of my dear friends from ages ago, my very first bass player in my very first professional band, way back. What we're doing here tonight is showing the comparison between a more expensive unit being the Line 6 Helix compared to a more entry-level unit, the brand new PodGo, and we're playing the same songs back and forth with the same guitars and same presets rebuilt for each other. And we're just showing that, if the person wants to save some money, if they can't get into the Helix family yet, PodGo is definitely it's one to get into. So I guess what Daniel's asking, he wants to convince his guitar player to get one. Here's the thing. So I'm going to explain some of the benefits to your guitar player. And first of all, thank you for the kind words there, Daniel, for watching the show for so long and convinced to get a product from some of my recommendations. I'm very honored to hear that. I recommend it for several things. Number one, it's a heck of a lot easier to carry gear around. You could technically now show up with one guitar and a Helix or a PodGo in this case, if you're looking for the PodGo, whatever it is you're looking for, it's the same idea. You're carrying around a small case and you're ready to go. No more lugging it's fun getting to the gigs when we get to go back to these gigs and carrying all this cool gear and look really cool and carrying in these big 412 cabinets and stuff. At the end of the night, you got to take that stuff back home. You're tired. You've just busted your butt on stage. Now you got to carry that gear back out of the venue, and it sucks. The novelty wears off very quickly of having big gear, really big gear. Like you're a bass players. I remember rolling in 810, 2 Ampeg 810s up flights of stairs and stuff like that. Technically, if that bass player was still with me in the band now, he could be carrying a Helix in a Spectre bass, and we'd be off to the races. I recommend it more than I can recommend anything in my life as far as what it can do for you. It's inspiring. It will gel well with the band. It will gel well with every member in the band. Honestly, I'm not saying this because I'm not paid by Line 6 to say this stuff. I'm not a Line 6 artist. I do get some reciprocation, but I'm not paid to say what I say. And it's something that I believe in strongly. So very long story short, have your guitar player watch this segment back and just also have him watch my face to see the smiles on my face when I'm playing. And honestly, take away every word I just said. Watch the smile on my face when I'm playing a guitar plugged into a Line 6 Helix or PodGo or a Stomp product. That speaks for it. That speaks right there. So I hope that long answer answered your question. Okay, so now we just played the song Runaway on Helix. So I'm going to mute Helix rack. Okay, I'm going to take out the 1/4-inch cable. So Frank, now that you're just here, you're jumping in a little bit late. What I'm doing here to compare, I'm running guitar cable directly into Helix rack back there. You can see actually the gray cable running there. And then I'm running the Line 6 relay to PodGo, and PodGo is going to my mixer just like rack is. Okay, so we're going to switch guitars. Actually, no. What am I doing? We're going to keep the same guitar. Pardon me. I forgot. We still got to play one more song now with PodGo, same guitar. Okay, I almost got rid of that for a second. Okay, so here we go. This one's going to be... Okay, we're going to unmute. No, hang on. I will get this straight tonight. I need the wireless. I'll discombobulate it here. We got it. We're good. Awesome. We're good. I need to scroll over to the chat, see if I have missed anything. Looks like I might be somewhat current. Maybe not. Okay, there we go. It's weird too. I'm on a Mac over here and I'm on a PC over here, and I'm used to scrolling one way, and on the PC it's the opposite, right? I could switch that, but I like Mac to be pure Mac. Okay, so Helix floor technically is what I'm running into as far as the signal routing. So there you go. This PodGo, there is no difference. 0, 0, 0. Okay, here we go. I'm going to jump over to performance cam section. We'll mute my microphone, and actually, you know what? We'll take a quick sip because I am dying. Daniel says, yep, it did. Thanks a lot, Eric. My pleasure. Okay, here we go. PodGo with Runaway. Jump over here. Watch your ears. Headphone warning. Okay, so I'm telling you, if you can tell me that that sounds any different than the one I just played 5 minutes ago on Helix, I mean, this is not a testimony. I'm not going to be held liable in court. But if you can tell me the difference, I'll come and cut your grass. And I'm not going to come and cut your grass because I had enough of my own grass to cut. I'm telling you, there's no difference sonically between PodGo and Helix. Now, is it a Helix? No, there's a lot of limitations compared to Helix, but it's never meant to be a Helix. Never was considered to be a Helix. It's considered to be a unit to, get into the fold of modeling devices at an entry level price, and it sounds exactly the same. You take any artist that's out there using Helix worldwide right now, and I know several of them that I've even talked to, and you put this thing beside it and you plug into it, it sounds exactly the same. As a matter of fact, we have one of the best, as I like to use this term, it's a Sandra Lee's term, and I've kind of adopted it. When you tend to be a know-it-all of something, in a good way, we say the all-knowing burrito. So if if you're a Star Wars, fan like No Tomorrow, like the Johnny Lees of the world and people like that, you're the all-knowing burrito when it comes to Star Wars, and that's a positive compliment. This Sunday over on the Helix Hour, we had the all-knowing burrito of PodGo. I couldn't ask for a better person to take PodGo inside and out and around and around and around. Is Mr. Paul Heinmarsh. He kicked off our very first, I think it was a premiere episode of the Helix Hour of Season 1. He's been back a couple different times. He's been over on our show Kramer Corner, and he's back now this Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, to take us through PodGo for 90 minutes of nothing but. So, I can't recommend this product enough. Get out there and get one. They're landing in stores now. I don't want to say if they're back ordered or not. Frank can comment on that if the stock is good in various locations. He can comment in the chat on that if he's still here. But get out there and get one. Order one if you can't get. I should advise some caution there as well too. I don't advise rushing out to a store if stores are open in your area. Order online. You don't necessarily need to be there to try PodGo. Order it online. Some places have return policies. If you don't like it, send it back. So I'm not encouraging you to run out there unsafely as well, because I'm very cautious. I don't go out very often, very, very infrequently. So, kind of read between the lines what I'm trying to say. Just be careful. So Brian's Gates he's here, asking questions about the song. I think we had that answered. That's my song from Finding Core. Fred saying is asking, sorry if you said already about, are you using 1/4 inch outs on both units? Yes. And so that's a good question. And that's it's a great question because, there's different ways we could embellish the tones. I could be running balanced out XLR out of Helix Rack, and I could be running 1/4 inch out of PodGo. So technically, the way I run, you can see 3 power cabs back there. And that's one of the nice things about Helix is that there's multiple outputs. So I am running XLR outs of Helix to the power cab, dead center. And I'm running the L6 link cable out to the other power cabs. So I can do this really, really big wet, dry, wet thing. But what you're hearing tonight is 1/4 inch out of the, I wish you could almost see it here, but here's my hand on the mixer. So I have one channel's come in 1/4 inch a stereo from Rack, and another 1/4 inch stereo from PodGo. So there you go. Yeah, it's a complete same setup. Nothing different. The same cables. I've got about 15-foot long HowieZowie cables. So they're the same cable, the same length, same manufacturer. So we're pretty much, you couldn't ask for a more fair representation. And there you go. Doug says Chris Robinson of Blackstone Cherry even has one. Yes, he does. And I think we have a preset coming from him as well too. He was going to give us a preset there last week. He just got, he's busy doing many things. Even being home, he's very busy doing live shows with the band and stuff like that. So he's going to be providing our viewers with a free PodGo preset. So yeah, he loves it as well too. Let me see if I missed anything else. Ed B saying, "Oh, Paul is awesome." He is. We got the hands-on demo for the very first time at the special event at Line 6 back at Winter NAMM. Seems like forever ago. And Paul took when I say us, he took everyone through a beautiful demo, ranging from jazz to rock to shred to fusion stuff. And PodGo delivered everything he threw at it, and it was almost like, what else you got? And it was whatever else you can throw at it, it'll get it. Frank is saying they will be in Europe in the next couple of weeks, and Doug just mentioned that Chris Robinson Blackstone. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I got that note, and thank you, Frank, for the European update as well too. So it's nice, and I'm noticing in my marketplace, I'm noticing some sales. A lot of interest in the PodGo bundles. So for those of you that are getting a PodGo, I have a bundle which is 10 presets. It's around $20. I think it's $19.99 or something like that. So very, very affordable. It's like $2 a preset, $1.99 a preset. Pretty cool. It's got several clean, several rock. So the question is, someone asking, is PodGo stereo out? Yes, PodGo is stereo out. So my bundle has clean, several clean, several dirties, and then I've got 4 Van Halen presets in there too. Those that know me know I like Van Halen, and that's kind of what my first presets were for Marketplace, were Van Halen presets. So I thought the PodGo market deserves these just as much as anybody else does. So you'll find that as well too. So it's called the PodGo. I don't even know what it's called anymore. It's PodGo bundle. PodGo starter kit is what it's called. And Sandra will probably share the link here throughout the program as well too. Okay, so yeah, RG pops. Yep, definitely stereo. So we're gonna stay on PodGo now for a moment. I think are we on PodGo? We're on PodGo. Okay, we're gonna play another song here, which is in drop D, which works good for this guitar, and then we'll go the opposite way. We'll go back to Helix, and if you hear a difference, which you won't, I'll be very, very surprised. Okay, let's go back here to tunes. Let's go over to silence. All right, awesome. We won't be playing much longer here as well too. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. 9:54. Yeah, we'll probably wrap up shortly here as well. Okay, this is a fun song to play. A lot of big dynamics as a song called Silence. Here we go. PodGo. go. All right, so now we're going to go backwards. We're going to play the same song. We'll be wrapping up here very, very shortly as well, too. Thank you, Frank. Appreciate that so much. Maz B is here as well, too. Nice to see you. Nice to have, friends here in the chat. And being that you're here, I'm assuming that you are well, safe, and healthy. And that is more important than listening to me play guitar and all that stuff. Just nice to have you here and wishing you all the best. So I'm going to mute Helix for a second. Sorry. I forget what I'm playing. Yeah. Okay. We're muting PodGo. All right. Now we're going to grab a guitar cable. And this shuriken tonight is staying in tune great. I mean, I'm tuned down a half a step. The strings are slinky. It's hotter than blazes in here. And this thing is just taking a licking and coming back for more. It's really funny. You know, I've had this question come up before too. And it doesn't come up as often as when people ask me, does PodGo sound like Helix? But people ask me, okay, forget about the Variax technology in these guitars. How good does this guitar play? And I would buy this guitar in a heartbeat, not even knowing what this technology stuff is, the Variax technology inside of it. It plays like $1 million. It's comfortable. It's a rolled neck. It's an ebony neck. Just comfort. And then it's got this crazy stuff called Variax technology, which you can sound like any guitar on the planet. So I like it just for the guitar itself. And I tend to play it almost more so just for the guitar itself. The bells and whistles, it's there and ready for whatever you want to do. Never too late is bummed. He's hoping to get his grass cut. See, I'm sorry if I would have made a bad disclaimer and you guys proved me wrong. I'd have to come and cut your grass, but there's no difference between these two products. Okay, so now we back on Helix. Are we? Helix rack. Okay. Maybe just out of tune a little bit. No, we're close enough. Okay. Oh, Paul Sir is here. Paul Sir, nice to see you, buddy. Says all sounds great, gang. Sorry coming in late. Caught up at work. Got to meet Paul, a new fan here and friend on the channel through Patrick Fabian, who plays Howard Hamlin on Better Call Saul. Strange how you meet people, and I don't care how people meet, how we cross paths, as long as we become friends in the end, acquaintances, whatever. That's great. So it was Patrick Fabian is a major fan of Rush, and I mean here in Canada, it's in our DNA. We're born. With YYZ, tattooed on our wrists, and La Villa Stringiato and the trees, and I'm in drop D, you can't play that. But anyways, you get it right. Gotta love Rush. Who doesn't love Rush? Anyways, we met through Rush. Paul's here tonight in the house. We met through Rush and Better Call Saul. So long story short, new friends, new acquaintances, and new futures. Awesome. Very, very cool. It is hotter than heck in here. Can you see my forehead? Well, I mean, it's hard to miss. I mean, I got like a Sputnik, a satellite for a forehead. That's the broadband tradition. You can ask Sandra Lee that when she gave birth to Eric Jr. Whew, not pretty. Okay, so I didn't mean to give you that visual either. Okay, so we're going to play that same song again, now running through Helix. Here we go. question from Mike. Mike is asking, are you playing along with the full track, including guitar, or are you playing along minus a pre-recorded guitar? I am playing along with my record. I've got it buried in the mix, so I've got the guitar much louder. So we're hearing guitar on top, and it's, we're not trying to compete with the guitars that are on the record. And those were the amplifiers on that record would have been my PV 5150 back in the day, running through. Strangely enough, single for most of the tracks was a single 15-inch. It was in a big JBL, like the Vox cabinet, like the Beatles amp that would tip on the stand, whatever. They'd rotate, or not rotate, but they would angle. And it was a 15-inch JBL running through that. So believe it or not, the tones you're hearing on that record, which were buried underneath my playing, are a 5150 through a 15-inch JBL. Crazy, and probably never, commonly done. So yeah, so what you're hearing here tonight, especially people that are just jumping in now late, you're hearing the differences between Helix and PodGo, and what you're hearing, there are no differences. I've had a lot of fun doing this with you this evening. We've probably played 3 songs twice, obviously with a couple different guitars, and we're using, PodGo for one, Helix for the other. We'll do one last song on each device for you, and we'll let everybody go. This is a nice kind of a chunky song. We need to tune up for this one here, so we're just going to, what am I hooked into? I guess I'm hooked into Helix, so that would be the easiest way to tune without having you hear it. I'll look back at my tuner back there, and as you can see, that strobe tuner, I tell you, man, anybody that says there's a problem with a tuner on line 6 Helix, you're full of it. That thing, I can see that from across the room. I am going to look at it because I have to look back. There we go. So close. I think we're good. Okay, so Avery has a question. Could be just to losing the sound of the PodGo in my head after the pause between switching, but the Helix sounds more lively. It has more sizzle to it. I'm guessing the presets are the same. Yeah, so this is one of those things, right? This is that's good. That's a fair question and a fair analogy. Presets are exactly the same now. You can't bring presets back and forth from PodGo to Helix, Helix to PodGo. So I had to physically, I looked at each amplifier I had. Each amplifier, cabinet, delay pedal, reverb, EQ, and I put them all into Helix, and then I recreated the exact every single parameter, 100% down to the last millisecond of delay. So it was created the same. So what you're hearing, your ears could be playing tricks on you, and they are playing tricks on you, and that's natural. That happens. Maybe one of them is just a little bit louder, and us as human beings, as soon as we hear something that might be a little bit louder, we tend to think, oh, that's better, right? But it's not necessarily. It's just because something's changing. And a good way to look at that is radio, FM radio. If any of you listen to that anymore, there's always the fight with producers in the studio. They wanted to get the max dB out of their recordings, because they would get that on the radio dial. You're listening to you got Styx on the radio, then you got Def Leppard. All of a sudden, Band X comes up with boom, and they're 10 dB louder than anybody else, and you instantly think, man, this band is great. What is it? It's awesome, but it's louder. And so you're instantly, gravitating towards something that's louder, and you think it's better. So I'm not saying that's the case here. And you have a very valid opinion, and maybe to your ears, you are hearing some differences. And I respect that. But technically speaking, I would have to get the guys at line 6 and get all the, like the Eric Kleins and the Ben Adrians and people like that to put some scopes and stuff on here to tell me what. I'm sure there's some digits in there that will report differently on the screen, but I only care about the digits that are between, these empty spaces between my brain, and it works. But very valid comment, and I respect that comment for sure. And Frank, thank you so very, very much. $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that immensely. Dale Palmer is saying there are so many ways to get great sounds and variety of Helix products. I agree. And what I was doing tonight? I've never done this before. I shot a video of some of my friends that are in the chat right now that are friends of mine on Facebook. They know about this because I posted some things on Facebook. I got a really cool teleprompter in today. It's going to really help me with my videos, so I can look right at the camera, and I'm going to have my scripts and things rolling up in front of the camera. The camera doesn't pick up the words, and I'm looking right at the camera like I am right now, and I'm reading technically, right? It's awesome. So I shot a video, shot an unboxing. The unboxing portion was good. Then Junior helped me with the other part, filming on tripods and stuff, and it wasn't his fault. It was mine. I didn't use my ears to check levels, and I was clipping, and I probably can't use the audio now because you can't fix like really clipped audio. But here's where I'm going with that. Inside of Final Cut Pro, which is my editing suite of choice, I go into audio and I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying my best to salvage, this clipped audio, and I won't put the video up if it's clipped. I'm just not going to do it. Like, I don't want to go backwards in quality what I've put up on my channel. I only want to go better. But I thought, what the heck? Let's try it. So I clicked on HX Native, Helix Native as a plugin. And I created a blank preset, and I put a studio compression on there. I put in a parametric EQ, and I think I might have put a noise gate, maybe, I'm not sure, but I definitely used the compressor and the EQ, and I got the audio close to being, way better than it was, close to acceptable, but I'm probably still not going to use it. But HX Native would have probably saved my butt, and I will embrace that again. So don't think of even Native as being just for guitar and just for bass. It worked for vocal. It helped me. You can't fix bad clipped audio, but I got close. So long story short, Brad says, I really wish the Go would have used the HX Edit. It's different, and it's a different. Excuse me, it's a different architecture, right? So I don't know the full reasons behind it, but Eric Klein is going to be coming up as well too. I'm not sure if it's the week after Paul Heinmarsh's Sunday. I got to double check, but Eric Klein is coming up, and I believe it is the following Sunday. So Brad, that's a good question. We can ask Eric. We'll ask him the reasons behind why it didn't use the exact same architecture of software, and that's a good question. And I know there are probably reasons behind it. And Frank saying the sounds are identical. Thank you. I appreciate. I'm glad that Frank hears these things every day as well too. So he hears a Helix, he knows a PodGo, he knows a Stomp, he knows what they sound like, and if he's saying as well too, that's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, so we're going to do this now. One last song. We turn back up to E. I think we are. Okay, we're going to play a song called, this one's for Landshark Mark if he's still here. This one is a song called Fantasy, otherwise known as the stripper song. And even the strippers are probably getting back to work soon. Let me see here. All right. Where is it called? Fantasy. Okay, we're going to play it on Helix first. We're going to go back to PodGo. Then we're going to say good night to everybody. And we'll look forward to seeing you over on Rock Shop Live on Friday night. I have a great guest for Friday night. I've got Ronit Kirchman, a fantastic multi-instrumentalist, violinist, singer, songwriter, composer. She's a Golden Globe and Emmy nominated for USA Network's The Sinner, season 1, 2, and 3. All those great eerie soundtracks and ominous and breathtaking soundtracks in Sinner 1, 2, and 3. That's her. She'll be on the show on Friday night. So we're stacking a deck for you guys to bring you the best entertainment that we possibly can. All right, so let's jump over and do some fantasy. And this will be the last version of this for the evening, and we're going to conclude and say goodnight. We're going to go back. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. Thank you, the party line, my beautiful Sandra Lee. Awesome. And yeah, so we're going to jump now back to PodGo, and we're going to conclude. And what better way to end on PodGo, right? We'll end on the unit that a lot of people can afford. Okay, let's jump. We're going to mute that one. Okay, and we're going to mute. Okay, we need the laptop open still. Okay, so we should be able, yeah, that's good. Back to wireless. And that's another cool thing too. If you guys are using Helix, another thing with the multiple inputs and multiple routing capabilities, a lot of times what I do is I'll use my Variax cable, the VDI cable, which looks like a network cable, a little different. I'll use that to run to Helix. And then, if I want to change, another guitar, I can use the wireless as well too, and 2 inputs into Helix at the same time. Just switching guitars is very, very handy. Okay, I guess we need this, don't we? I made sure I charged this up tonight before the show too. I hate to have it die in the middle of the show. Okay. Andrew is here. Hello, buddy. We're wrapping up right now with one more song. Thank you for joining in. We're doing so as Andrew knows. Andrew probably doesn't know. We're doing a comparison between PodGo and Helix. We're using the exact same preset. I built it on PodGo, and as a reminder too, there's a lot of people that jumped in since we started the program. I will put the link in the description down below after tonight, later on. But this preset you've been hearing on PodGo all night long is a free preset. I do make money on selling presets on Line 6 Marketplace. You can go to line6helixpresets.com. You can look at all my presets here, which will jump you right to Line 6 Marketplace. It's a nice little gateway jump. And I do make some money on those, and your support is greatly appreciated. But this is a free preset, the one I've been playing all night long. I like to give back as well too sometimes, and when I can. And I like this preset. It's called the Helix Hour JCM 800. It was made for PodGo, and I really love it. It's a rich amplifier. So I will make it. Oh, I already have it made. I have the Helix version made. I made just tonight before the show. So I'll save that one tonight, and I'll scoot it up there to Custom Tone as well too for another freebie for you guys. So whether you're using Helix or using PodGo, you'll have, or maybe you have both. You can have them both. So there you go. So we're gonna do Fantasy one more time. Make sure we got some volume. And where is it at? Now the only thing that's going to be different this time, I can't use my wah pedal on PodGo, and you can see PodGo kind of blinking back there. We're not blinking, but you can see a little glow. That's PodGo back there, 10, 12 feet behind me. I can't access my wah pedal, and I'm not even going to change my lead snapshot. So down here with Helix, I'm using a Mission Engineering expression pedal with Helix Control. That's how I was able to do that wah. So that's the only thing different you're going to hear in the song, and that does not qualify you for me coming to cut your grass. For the disclaimer, I said if you tell the difference, I will come and cut your grass. So disclaimer aside, I'm not using a wah pedal. All right, last song for the evening. Thank you so very, very much. I won't even say goodbye here after this. We'll say goodbye now. Thank you so very, very much. I appreciate your time. I wish you all to be safe, well, and happy, all that good stuff. And we look forward to seeing you Friday night over on Rock Shop Live. A great guest. And of course, Paul Heinmarsh, the grand poobah, the all-knowing burrito of PodGo on the Helix Hour. And I almost said something wrong, and I'm glad I didn't say what I was going to say. And it's nothing about Paul. I just almost went in a bad way there. Okay, we're going to jump over now to the last song on PodGo. Here we go. Thanks, everyone. Too many computers, too many mice.
One night, 2 days. Hey, you're still here? Eric Jr. here, reminding you to check out our full lineup of quality merch. Available right now in the Broadstash Boutique. Quality products and fast shipping. Visit broadstash.com today.
Video production services for Rock Shop Live are provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones.